Hello and welcome back to The Note. We have a topic guaranteed to set pulses racing today: bankers' pay. Today sees the publication of our annual survey of bank CEOs' pay, which we do jointly with Equilar. As always, the results are fascinating. With me now to discuss them is our investment banking correspondent, Daniel Schäfer. Dan, thank you very much for joining me today. Let's start by perhaps looking at the most clear-cut pattern in this, which is apart from Antonio Osorio of Lloyd there and Jamie Dimon of JPMorgan, there is a very direct split between Americans and Europeans. The Americans are all at the top of the leaderboard, followed by the big European banks. Why is that?
Well, it's indeed a new pattern that we haven't seen in the years before that. We've done this survey for 5 years now. And the main reasons why this is happening, why there are different pay leagues now for US CEOs and European CEOs in the banking sector, is a completely different environment in terms of the regulatory and political pressure on bankers and their pay in Europe, but also in terms of the bottom line and the revenue pressure that European banks facing with a much more sluggish growth in Europe that is obviously affecting the amount of income and revenues that banks are generating and thus also impacting the amount of pay that and bonuses that the top bankers get.
Do you think this could be a lasting trend?
It definitely is. This year we've seen new rules coming in the European Union, the bonus cap that is essentially reducing the maximum pay amount that these CEOs will get. We've seen that coming through in the pay policies that these banks adopted this year, so we'll see that next year coming through. And the second reason is that some of these banks, particularly some of the UK banks, Barclays and RBS, but also the Swiss banks, are shifting their business models away from high-paying investment banking to more lower-paying areas such as wealth management, retail, and corporate banking. And with that comes a new breed of bankers, such as Anthony Jenkins at Barclays, who's a retail banker, and Ross McEwen at RBS, who also is a retail banker, who actually last year already earned only a fifth of what Lloyd, Blankfein at Goldman Sachs did.
Okay, so but the general impression that Wall Street has got off more leniently does appear to be accurate. Now let's take a quick look at one of the exception to the mean, Antonio Osorio, the in charge of Lloyd's, best paid banker in Europe. How did he manage that? He's had some well-publicised difficulties.
Yeah, in the year before he did have some difficulties. He had a absence. He had a leave of absence because of health reasons, and but last year actually was a splendid year for Antonio Osorio. He managed to turn around Lloyd's. It was the first year in 3 years that they made a pre-tax profit. And it was also the beginning of a new era for Lloyd's, in the sense that it's on its way to become a normal bank, because the government has started the sell down of its stake, its 39% stake, to below 25%.
And that's how Antonio did as well as he did. Now,
yes.
Let's take a look at perhaps the most famous name on the list, who just got faded out by Antonio, Jamie Dimon, once the head of this list. Is that because of JPMorgan's annus miserabilis last year with the regulators? Yeah,
definitely. That's the main reason. They faced numerous problems last year. One of them was still the aftermath of the London whale trading incidents that they had, which caused a loss of $6 billion in 2012, but also they had a number of settlements with regulators, including a $13 billion dollar settlement with over mortgage sales.
And that hit Jamie's take-home pay.
Yeah, it did.
Final question I want to ask: Mike Corbat, the new guy at Citigroup, is actually paid more in cash than any of the other guys on this list. What's he done to earn that at this stage at Citi?
Yeah, I mean, part of it reflects his old role as head of Europe at Citi, but the other part is he started his job in autumn 2012, and he embarked on a very strict cost-cutting drive at Citigroup, cutting 12,000 jobs, and in the process improving the net profits by 4/5 in 2013. He's got third on the list, but having said that, this year will be much tougher for him because the bank is facing several problems now. They have a fraud case in alleged fraud case in Mexico, and they failed the Federal Reserve capital payout plans. So,
Okay, so
this year will be tougher for him, definitely.
it'll be tougher for Mike Corbat, and I'm sure many of our listeners will point out that it'll be tougher for the 12,000 people he's already laid off. Okay, thanks, Dan. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for now. We could continue for a while, and you at home can do so if you're on ft.com. This interactive graphic is all there. There is a lot of fun to be had playing around with it.